Sit down, take a chew and chew my money till we get it. Ball, let it cool, was ain't talking. Money speak, all that bullshit, keep it. Run the side.
Wait, what are we anti or what are we pro? Pro homosexual. We're not just pro homosexual. We're professional homosexual of any kind, gay of any flavor.
No, we're against we're ACAB, and then what was the acronym we used for it was like for coroners?
AMEAB. All medical examiners are bastards.
Yeah. Yeah, those
That's
are our
Sicko
two
City.
stances.
You completed the Hajj today.
Yeah, I Wednesday I was driving down the street, Bellevue, which is like a suburb of Nashville, and I saw that sign that I sent you the picture of, and we posted it as a story on our Instagram, which
Little teaser, if you will. A little flirtation with the idea.
yeah, and it just said this Sunday, 10:30 a.m. Brian from the band Korn, guest speaker. It was one of those things like I literally had to like turn in and like kind of like I had to read it twice and then I took a picture of it because I was just like it was just one of those things like it's like that's a really odd pairing, you know, new metal lead guitarist and a Presbyterian church.
It's about time.
Yeah, but I did a little Wikipedia research and apparently, you know, and after going to the service this morning, you know, apparently Brian's a born again Christian.
That happened a while ago, right? He's been a born again Christian. He got saved in the early 2000s, I think, in the kind of blood rush of 9/11. Kind of after all that, everyone became, in a sense, we all became evangelical Christians after 9/11, and I think he got swept up in that as well. Am I right? He'd been a Christian since the early 2000s.
Yeah. So from his story and like on Wikipedia as well, like the year you can really. I would say the best year to put it would be like 2004 or 2005.
Okay.
Because he did touch on 9/11 and that,
he talked about 9/11 today at the sermon?
Yeah.
No way! He brought up 9/11 at the sermon?
Yes.
How did you bring up 9/11, brother?
So his speech was like, it was basically kind of like his life story and like how he came to like,
in our Christian world, Robert, we call that your testimony.
Yeah, it's his testimony.
He shared his testimony.
Yeah, and you know what kind of fueled what kind of fueled him to be born again was his drug addiction.
What was he addicted to?
It was drinking. He always just said drugs, but near the end he mentioned methamphetamine and Xanax. So I think, and especially being like a rock star, it's almost like at the height Korn was at, they probably did everything at least once.
And we can't ignore exactly what you just said. The height of Korn, they were fucking household names. Your parents knew who Korn were. They were the coolest. Late 90s, right? That's when they really peaked.
Yeah, like mid to late 90s. You know, they were on Woodstock 99 before the fire started, when it was still a cool festival.
When you know those pants that you think of, like rip pants, whatever they're called.
The Jinko jeans?
Yeah, like Jinko jeans, you know what I mean? You think of that is immediately like, oh yeah, the legendary time of Korn. That is like, that is when they were the boys. They were the gods on top of the mountain that brought down commandments for us, you know? Wear these pants, rock out, you got it, yes sir. Brian Kelly. Is it spelled the same my name is? E2 E's and Kelly, or is it Brian Kelly, Kelly? No,
his full name's Brian Welch.
I guess I really heard what I want to hear. Huh?
I think you just wanted to hear that.
Yeah, I heard his name was JT Kelly. I thought it was what his name was. JT Kelly.
Well, what's funny though is he's got he has a nickname, and it was, you know, when he was in Korn mainly, his nickname was Head.
That's cool.
Yeah,
because he's addicted to getting head. Is that why?
Probably.
That's cool.
He's like, you know what I really love? He's like, getting head. He's like, just call me that, guys.
You know, I'll tell you, growing up around all the testimonies, it just made me want to get sinning. Is like when a guy like that comes in, most of his testimony is like, yeah, I was having sex with like 3 to 4 women a night, sometimes a couple of them at the same time, and I was doing hard drugs and making tons of money, and it just felt horrible. And I realized I had to come back to this option that was always going to be there for me. And I could go out and do all these things and just come back to a safe haven. And I was like, yeah, got it. Okay.
This will always
message
be here.
received.
Good to know.
Yeah, loud and clear, buddy. You're telling me I can go out and do every sin I can imagine and then just come back and be kind of like a legend in the game where I can come back on stage and just tell people all the dope shit I did and pretend
World
like,
War II vet.
yeah, it was horrible. Oh man, I remember this one time I was having sex with these supermodels and we're all high on cocaine and I looked in the mirror as I was fucking them both at the same time and I thought, what are you really doing here, man? And everyone's just like, yeah, you're in for good job. You gave up two pussies next to each other. You're the man. That's the coolest part of Christianity is half of it is just bragging about before you were a Christian.
Just bragging about the pre-Christian days.
Yeah. Oh, hey, back before I knew better, man. Sometimes I'd stack them up on top of each other and just nail them next to each other. Yeah, I was that sinful. That's how sinful of a man I was. Like, wow.
It's like the AA circle when they all start to brag about their drinking stories.
Especially, have you ever been to AA?
No.
I absolutely have. And one thing that's great about AA is the amount of people that just like casually bring up like B-level celebrities that they know.
Yeah.
Like they'll be like, oh yeah, back when I was drinking, I mean really drinking. Like I did so much cocaine, the doctor from Becker, that show Becker, came out and would hang out with me and drink with me. Yeah. And I have his number in my phone still. That's how much we drank together. I can show you guys after. I mean, those types of AA people, it's like, wow, you really were a legend in the game, weren't you?
You were drinking so much, you got phone numbers from slightly famous people.
Yeah. Gallagher used to say I drank more than anyone he ever partied with. Gallagher said that about me. But now, hey, you've watched the bit where our main man, Mr. Kaufman, goes Christian, right?
Mr. Coffin.
Andy Kaufman goes Christian. Have you seen any of that stuff?
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh, he
Sorry,
rebranded as evangelical for a while.
I thought you said Coffin.
Mr. Coffin.
Kaufman.
Very dark friend I have.
I've seen his like SNL clips and the wrestling stuff. Like the wrestling promos he would do on late night.
Where you could beat any woman.
Yeah. But so when did he become born again?
I can't remember. It was for a brief period. He met some lady on a plane that was like, I'm going to witness to you. And it was around the same time that like a bunch of Christians or a bunch of people that had kind of like gone into obscurity decided to become Christian to try to get like a new little bump in their resume, be cool again for a second. And he just jumped on that kind of ironically. You like Andy Kaufman?
Yeah, the stuff I've seen, it's been funny.
Funny stuff.
I can understand why a lot of people growing up with it, idolize him.
I also understand why people just don't think it's funny at all. You know what I mean? I've seen plenty of stuff from him that I'm just like, yeah, dude, not fucking awesome to me.
Yeah.
Okay. So Brian Welch, you show up and he's giving the sermon. Was there music before? Give me kind of the rundown. Give me the Robert point of view. You show up to the church, you park. What happens? You park, you get out of the car. What's next? What happens next?
So let me preface that. As I'm driving up, I'm worried that either it's going to be jam packed, like I'm going to have to stand in the back if I even want to get in here, or it's just going to be like a regular service for this congregation. Mm-hmm. Thankfully, but also unfortunately, it was the latter one. Like I got parking right next to the front door.
Nice. How big was
handicapped? No, it was, yeah, like still plentiful parking. I get in there and I already notice there's like 3 groups of couples, and I could immediately tell it's like, oh, like they're here for Brian. Like they don't normally go here. If they do and they're here for Brian, then that's like a 1%er.
Yeah.
Because
how big? This wasn't a mega church though, right? This was like a very moderately sized Baptist church. Presbyterian.
Yeah, this is like your standard issue church. There's maybe like, I think there was enough to maybe seat like 150, maybe 200 people. But it's not like no, there's maybe like 40 people total.
And you think maybe 20 of them typically go to the church?
I would say like 30.
Okay. Then you got the Korn heads.
Yeah.
Or the Jesus freaks. They're either Korn heads or Jesus freaks, or hey, maybe they're a little bit of both.
Yeah. So up front, I immediately see a guy with suspenders and bow tie, but he's got those huge ass gauges in his ear. And I was like, I bet he fucks and listens to Korn. And his buddy next to him, he had like he had a mullet, but it was like all jet black hair, and like he was wearing all black. And I was like, yeah, he's here for Korn too.
Oh yeah,
he's a Tennessee goth.
Tennessee. Do you think that they were believers?
You know, I think so, or they're just good actors because they were engaged the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't just Brian speaking, because they had the normal pastor go up.
Oh yeah, give me a little bit of the rundown. So you get in there, you see a few people. There's like 5 couples. You know them, the Korn heads. You know them, the Cobb boys. They on the Cobb with you. Then you sit down, you get your chair.
Yeah, I saw some Tumblr girls. I was like, yeah, they're here for Korn.
Mm-hmm.
They're here with their boyfriends or their girlfriends. We're not here to judge.
Not on this podcast.
Mm-mm. So yeah, I'm just, I'm kind of getting a feel for the room, and then pastor comes up, or at least I think that's what they call them in Presbyterian. We'll just say pastor.
The preacher man.
Yeah, preacher man. And it's really just kind of like, again, like your standard issue Protestant service up until near the end when Brian comes up. You start off with a song, you go into like kind of like the Sunday announcements for just, oh yeah, please keep so and so in your prayers, like they just had hip surgery, so they're recovering. And the preacher does an Old Testament reading and a little interpretation of it, and then he also does like the children's sermon, which I don't know if you've ever been to a church where it's like, all right, now all the kids under 13 come up and sit on the steps, and I'm just going to talk to y'all, and your parents will be in the background hearing this, kind of like.
Do the parents still look at the stage?
Yeah, I remember this happening at preschool sometimes, where it's like, oh yeah, like all the kids who were born in March, like come up here, and like, you get to sit and stand up here with the pastor, but like he's got like a special story for y'all, but he's still mic'd up, so it's like everyone's still hearing it. It's basically just to like, I think it's just to embarrass kids because they don't want to be up there.
They want to speak directly to those children's hearts, Robert.
Yeah.
They want to get right in those kids' fucking heads.
Yeah.
Weird. Okay, so they had the kids come up on stage for everyone to ooh and ah at, and then he gave a sermon to the kids.
He taught.
Was the Korn? Could you see the Korn guy at this point, or was he in the green room? Did you see him in the crowd?
Yeah. So they had two altars or two podiums, really podiums. Right side was our standard issue preacher, Mr. Scott. On the other one, seated behind it was Brian. And as soon as I walked in and sat down, like I saw him, and honestly, like if he was the only guy below the age of 50 on that stage. So he was pretty, like, you could, even if you had never seen him before, or even anyone from Korn, you would be like, oh, that guy's not normally here.
that guy's not a normal fella.
Like
that fella like, stands out.
Like there's a special happening going on this week. It's a white guy with dreads.
Issued, yeah.
Yeah.
This fella ain't run of the mill. This fella's a rare one. Okay. Yeah. Not your standard issue fella there. Got it.
But yeah, he's just kind of like sitting there and not trying to
watching porn on his phone.
No, he was just kind of like awkwardly, like, looking at the choir when they sang, and like looking at the preacher, and just,
God, they don't know how to rock like I can rock.
He's like, God, it's like that fucking bitch, third row, like on the edge, fucking out of tune, man.
Yeah, dude, like, I would love if he roasted those guys and be like, you don't know how to get the back of the throat howl. I don't even know a fucking Korn song. I'll be honest with you. What's a Korn song I might know?
Freak on a Leash.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I'm going to reel back what I said. Of course I know.
I mean, everyone, like, Freak on a Leash. My personal favorite is Twist, because it's really just all that new metal scatting. I think, what's the singer's name? Jordan Davis or Jonathan Davis? Yeah. But it's just all new metal scatting from him, which when I heard that, I was just like, man, this shit's hilarious. Anyways,
Yeah. Oh man, new metal is my favorite genre. Besides old metal, of course.
would you say you're a connoisseur of new metal?
I would say I'm a
What about New
contingency of new
Testament
metal.
metal?
I
You
I
mean
was
under
new
oath?
metal. Now I'm New Testament. It spells new in you still.
Yeah.
That
anyways.
should be the name of his book. You know, the thing in his book that he wrote about becoming a Christian is he cusses a
Mhm.
lot in the book, and he says it's something that he's working on. And that's like a hilarious side point is the fact that like he acts like a netter and couldn't say, "Hey, do you want to take the cuss words out?" No, it's something I'm working on.
Yeah, it's surprisingly, like he didn't swear in his in his testimony today, which I'm pretty sure they had a long discussion. Like, hey, there's like small children here.
How long did he talk for?
Oh God, he probably talked for like 30 minutes.
Oh wow. Well,
Because-
what would you say, what was his message? Give me a little bit of a rundown how the Korn boys chop it up.
So I'll get into that here pretty quickly, but just to stay on the timeline, the kids' lesson ends. They go back to their seats, and then there's another song. But after that song, Brian gets up to the left podium, and he reads the New Testament excerpt that they got. Oh, they also had this. I got a couple of the other literature. They had this one.
Oh, nice. Brian Head Welch from the band Korn. Would you read off the description there for us?
Yeah, let's see. Brian Welch is not only the lead guitarist for the seminal nu metal band, and they spelt nu metal correctly,
Nice.
Korn, but he is also a brother in Christ with a story of redemption and restoration to share. He and his bandmates have sold over 35 million albums, toured the world over with arena sellouts. Brian is also a published author, Eyes Wide Open, and featured in a Showtime music documentary, Loud Crazy Love, which chronicles his incredible faith journey that includes his conversion to Christ, his life in Korn, and the challenges and opportunities to live for God in the world of rock and roll, and as a single father. Don't miss this incredible and unique morning of worship. I could obviously tell that really the only advertising they did for this was through the people in the church, just basically like, oh yeah, next week we got Brian Welch from Korn. Tell your cool brothers and kids. And then
I'll tell your cool older brother that likes Korn. Tell your cool neighbor. Hey, you know the neighbor that can clearly be identified as a Korn fan? Why don't you ask that cool guy to come to church with you this Sunday?
Still wears the all black jeans with all the chains.
You know the guy that is a Korn fan? Yeah, you know who I'm talking about.
Smokes Marlboro Red still. Yeah, he's cool.
Ticket line cook that's very special to you, and ask him to come to church this Sunday.
Yeah, so it's really just internal word of mouth advertising, and then their little
campaign, if you will,
basically, and the sign out front by the road. The little with the little letters, little not sandwich board, but whatever.
It's a sandwich board. It's just it's like a communion bread sandwich.
Yeah. New Testament reading, which was Philippians 3:10 through 16. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but
I'm pretty sure at one point it says to let nothing offensive come out of your mouth. Maybe I feel like Philippians 3 is about the way that you talk and interact with people. And I feel like one of the things that it calls out is like essentially like cursing people. What's the gist of it?
So the gist of it is that, I am not my own person. Like Jesus Christ has made me my own.
Wow.
Here's a part of it. I press on toward the goal for the prize of the heavenly call of God in Christ Jesus. And let's see.
That sounds like a new metal song right there.
Yeah. Under oath, take some fucking notes. So Brian reads the New Testament reading, and then it segues into his testimony about to know Christ is what he titled it. Mm-hmm. And he goes into it was Paul I think it was Paul. He was on his way to persecute some Christians, but then he gets blinded before he can.
Talk about the road to Damascus. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that actually happened though.
You don't think that part happened?
No, I think the Apostle Paul is just a guy that saw the tides kind of changing and was like, hey, actually, all the apostles, the people that walked with Christ, I'm the last one. Jesus actually appeared to me where no one can see me, and now I'm going to write most of the Bible. I think that's what Paul was.
Anyways, he talks about the story with Paul being blinded and Jesus saying, why are you persecuting me? Like, why are you doing this to me? And he's just like, no, like I'm just doing it to these Christians, it's my job. And he's like, well, no, like, I live inside them, my believers, and like I live inside you as well. As he's going through his story, he keeps kind of going back to this because that story is what really, like, I think resonated with him. Becoming born again.
He saw himself as persecuting Christians, playing absolute rock and motherfucking roll in the rock and roll band Korn. He saw himself as the Apostle Paul, except instead of feeding Christians to the lions, he's filling their ear with absolute demon rock and roll, baby.
Well, he also touched on, like, he saw himself. He saw himself go through, like, when you sow yourself to the flesh. That was one of the terms he mentioned, by doing like drugs and, sleeping with two different women at the same time and, methamphetamine.
He brought that up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, when I was snorting meth off of beautiful hookers, Double D's tits, as their best friend would blow me and say that you're the coolest rock and roller of all time, I thought, God, I hate this. I never want to do this. That's what he said.
Probably.
This feels so bad. Oh.
Back to his story, which, I mean, honestly, like, if you haven't already seen the Showtime documentary or read his book, that you're probably going to get what he spoke to us, but just in a more complete sense.
And that's on the Fart Locker book club list.
Yes,
is that documentary?
That's going to be our December reading, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so he's going kind of through the timeline of the band Korn and his life. Because he's like, yeah, then we got our first record deal, and we're opening up for, No Doubt and Ozzy Osbourne, and it's just like, 12-year-old me is just like so psyched to be out on the road and doing this for a living. And then he's like, our third album comes out, and we had a hit song, Freak on a Leash, and he's like, it's kind of weird saying that to a congregation, in a church, but that was the song. It really comes down to, like, they started doing more drugs and drinking with the pressure of having to, like, follow that album up. And
I'm Googling Freak on the Leash lyrics while you tell me this.
All right. Which, when he kind of got to that point in the story, as someone who's watched a lot of rock documentaries and just, I've been in music for most of my life, like, I've heard plenty of other artists say that, or kind of have that same sort of a hurdle, I would say. You got a number one record out. Okay, well, what's next? And everyone's looking at you for either the same thing you put out last time or something even better than that. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you can even see it in a lot of famous musicians or bands. They have that breakthrough album, whether it's the first one or their fifth one even. And then the follow-up, like, immediately after it, it's really just either like the second version of it, but you can kind of tell it's like these were the B-sides to the last album. Or they do like a complete 180 and try to do something completely different, and it either doesn't stick or, it's just... Is
it the path Korn went down? How did Korn follow up the Freak on a Leash album?
Let me pull that one up.
While you pull that up, I'd like to... Something takes a part of me. Something lost and never seen. Every time I start to believe something's raped and taken from me. Life's got to always be messing with me. You want to see the light? Can't they chill and let me be free? So do I. Can't take away all this pain. You want to see the light? I try every night, all in vain. Sometimes I cannot take this place. Sometimes it's my life I can't taste. Sometimes I cannot feel my face. You'll never see me fall from grace. Something takes a part of me. You and I were meant to be a cheap fuck for me to lay. Something takes a part of me. Feeling like a freak on a leash kind of does that. Oh, my favorite part. So fight something on the Mingaboo. Fight some things they fight. So something on the Mingaboo. Fight some things they fight. Fight something on the Mingaboo. Know some things they fight. Fight something on the Mingaboo. Fight some things they fight. I think that's about Jesus.
Some poetic justice for Jesus.
Yeah, what's the Mingaboo? I'm Googling Mingaboo.
Okay, so I've got their discography pulled up here. So Follow the Leader. That's where Freak on a Leash came from, obviously. 98. It's just, it's all bangers. Issues is the next one they followed up with. And, I'll be honest, I'm pretty surface level Korn fan. Like I'm not a diehard. So I haven't listened to Issues before, but even from what Brian like talking about it, he's just like, yeah, there's some good songs on it, but he's just like, we knew we couldn't repeat that success so quickly. And he's just like, there's some things like we kind of wish we could have done differently looking back. But there was one guy, like the guy with the gauges, he actually said when Brian mentioned, he was like, oh yeah, and like Falling Away From Me, like that was a pretty good song on it. He just immediately like stood up. He's like, that's the best fucking Korn song.
Nice.
And Brian was just like, all right, well, like I'm glad to hear that, like it's like we're not all just freaks on leashes here.
Another one of the lyrics from Freak on Leash is da boom na ba boom na boo noom nema na da boom na da boo noom na nema nema.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen the music video for Freak on a Leash, but that's when he goes into Matrix mode.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And during that time too, Matrix was honestly one of the coolest the Venn circle of Matrix fans and Korn fans is like there's a perfect, very tight vagina in the middle of that Venn diagram.
Yeah.
One tight little thing down there.
So anyway,
looking like the Freemason compass and whatever. You know what I mean? Just like this.
So it's really just kind of like this like 30-minute timeline of his life, and being in the band Korn and pressures from being famous. Like a lot of celebrities talk about, how the drugs and alcohol get out of hand, and how all their marriages ended in divorce.
Is he not married?
He's not married. He's not married to his daughter's mother anymore. That was like his first marriage. That one ended in divorce. I would have to double check if he remarried. Part of his identity is like being a single dad. So I don't know if he's officially remarried. He's out on tour and he comes home and, he finds out his wife's been cheating on him with these like meth heads that are like white supremacists.
What?
Yeah.
He gets cucked by a Nazi? Oh, what an abs! That's more than a slap in the face. I wouldn't be able to survive. My man gets cucked by a Nazi.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Mr. Josh or Brian.
So
Josh is another guy, and you think I got cucked by a Nazi. total Korn looking fan, if you know what I mean.
But like this is when it like his story gets pretty depressing, because it's like, all right, he comes home from tour and his wife is this like fucking meth junkie, sleeping with he's getting cucked by Nazis.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So he gets full custody of his daughter, and shortly after, his former wife, his ex-wife, she gets put in jail. And like at this point, he's talking about, he's like, yeah,
Hawaii normally would be, right?
No. Not when Dog the Bounty Hunters. Not when.
Wait, did Dog come after her?
I don't. I wish.
That would be an amazing episode if Dog went after the Korn wife, the first lady of nu metal.
Yeah. So
I actually have the Freak on a Leash music video up on my screen without any music to it.
You're just watching the visuals?
Yeah, I think it's demonic. I see why a lot of parents were scared that this was demonic. I agree. It definitely seems demonic.
Yeah. And so during this whole time as well, he's hinting that he's been trying to get sober and like trying to clean up his act, and that he was semi-successful up until you guessed it, 9/11 happened.
Yeah, 9/11 was rough for me too, as far
Yeah.
as sobriety is concerned.
Yeah. So because of the tragedy, he starts drinking again, and
Wait, so he was sober and 9/11 made him break edge?
yeah, that's what he said.
Saudi Arabia, what you have done to this country with your collusion with the Bush administration goes further than just the general public. You have disrupted one of the creative minds of Korn and Saudi Arabia. You will pay for that at the gates of heaven. Okay? And all of Prescott's heirs will pay for that at the gates of heaven.
Couldn't have said it better myself, JT.
One day.
Yeah.
Our justice will come not in this realm, but in the heavenly realm.
Yeah. Falls off the wagon there.
Because of 9/11.
Yes.
Yeah,
It was hard on everyone. Even
as if they, yeah.
Sorry, but I was watching this YouTube video going down another rabbit hole for the Disney Channel, and apparently I didn't even remember this, but like the Disney Channel had all their little stars at the time do like reflections on 9/11 in 2002 as like a 1-year anniversary thing, and they would run that in between shows. So 1 minute you're watching Lizzie McGuire waiting for Ethan Stevens to come on, and then you just see Hillary Duff talking about 9/11.
Wait, what did Hillary Duff have to say about 9/11? Hopefully that she didn't like it. She wasn't like, praise God for the sins of this nation. Finally, praise mighty Allah for bringing his enemies to their knees through 9/11. Watch Disney. The name's Hillary Duff.
No, like from the clips the YouTube video showed, it was just they're just like, oh yeah, just like I just remember that like it was just like everyone was sad after that. I was like, yeah, no shit, we were all sad. All right, so to wrap the story up, he hits rock bottom, in about 2003, 2004.
A la Bin Laden. Go on.
Yeah, and he gets hooked on methamphetamine at the time.
Well, yeah, dude, 9/11 had just happened. Be a little sensitive.
And so, he gets to his rock bottom. He's telling us how, he was even suicidal at one point. He gets into a program, and he mentioned like it took him a few weeks to like have it fully click for him. And going back to talking to your older brother when he when he was telling us, no, like Jesus speaks to people through the book, through reading it themselves. And that's what he said, like he got this feeling of, someone surrounding him and being warm and comforting, after reading the book for a few weeks and, coming upon like these passages that just really clicked for him.
And the Philippians one and the story of Paul is what really juiced Korn into evangelical Christianity.
Well, I think that's what juiced him up because in 2005, that's when he left the band Korn to like.
Oh, he left the band Korn.
Yeah, he rejoined like I think it was like 10 years later, but like in 2005, he's just like, yeah, I'm out of the band. Like I'm a born again Christian. Like I'm not going to do. He's like, I got enough money to kind of just be a dad, and I'm not going to give in to those temptations on the road.
Nice. Now that's a man of God.
Yeah. But he still has the dreads.
He said that's the one thing that I just can't give up.
He's just like, I'm not giving up this fucking hair, man.
He says, I refuse.
But yeah, like, he left Korn for a while and he came back in, it was about 2014. And he's still with them too.
Well.
So if you go to that,
I want to do a cold open. I want to read, and here's what I want to do. When I point at you, you got to say the Mingaboo, okay?
The Mingaboo?
Yeah.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
So fight something on.
The Mingaboo.
Fight some things they fight. So something on.
Mingaboo.
Fight some things they fight. Fight something on.
The Mingaboo.
Know some things they fight. Fight something on.
The Mingaboo.
Fight some things they fight.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. But I gotta say, it was a pretty good Sunday morning,
It sounds like it. I'm really jealous. I really want to come. Oh, I can't come out in January because we're going to Abilene for both the weekends in January that were free.
Okay. Cool Sunday. Got to meet, guy from Korn. Got a photo with him, which we'll post up later, help promote the episode. And I think next on the list is we go to Memphis to Al Green's church.
Oh, does he still preach?
I looked it up and it's like it sounds like maybe once a month he'll get up and like do the full service. But with his age, I think it's mostly like just, other like pastors and bishops that are under his church. But I have heard that the house band there fucking rips. So yeah, I'm in. And honestly, dude, like every time I've been to Memphis has been a pretty damn good time. So I'm looking forward to it.
What if we went to Memphis together just to go to the church?
Yeah,
we can stay at the Bass Pro Shop. Dude, fuck my birthday. You want to do that? Oh well, do you already have like a man? Are you free the week before your wedding?
I should be.
Would you be down to do like the Memphis Pyramid hotel stay and then go to Jesse Jackson's church on a Sunday?
It's Al Green, not Jesse Jackson.
I'm sorry. You're so racist. I'm sorry. Wait, you said Al Green. You mean Al Sharpton, right?
No. Yes, he's going to do the weather report and then lead us in prayer.
Wait, Al Green, the singer, has a church?
Yeah.
Holy shit! I didn't know that.
He's another famous musician that had
stripped completely naked singing that song, the one that everyone knows.
Let's Stay Together.
Yeah, right.
I don't think he's stripped completely naked.
Oh, I'm thinking the "I'll Make Love to You" guy. I'll make love to you like you want me to, and I will not let go until you tell me to. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah, would you want to do that?
Yeah. Like I was so my dad's like a huge Al Green fan, and when he played Austin back in 2019, like I took him to the show. I was already thinking about it. It's like, oh, maybe my dad would be down to just meet me in Memphis like one Sunday morning and like we just go to it, see like what happens. Like if you want to do it. But here's the thing, I would want to dress up like Sunday best style.
Oh, I would bring my suit for my wedding.
Yeah.
I would bring my custom fitted suit. I would smoke a fucking Fidel Castro sized blunt right before we went in, and I would enjoy Al Green singing to us, not to you, to us,
to everyone, us as a collective.
It's not me. He's not singing to me. He's not singing to you. He's singing to us. You and I would do. I've done mushrooms. I get it. We're all connected.
Honestly, that's how we move in from like just an audio podcast to YouTube. Is just we go on like famous Christian churches, but not like, oh, this is like he's like one of the biggest televangelists in the country. It's like, no, like we go see fucking Al Green. We go see, we follow Brian Welch on his fucking his church tour. Like,
do you think he's on a church tour?
Oh, no. I can't believe I left. I can't believe I left this out.
Do you want to do a clap and bring this back into the podcast? It's probably too late now.
I put that mark where we want to cut that one part out. Anyways, like when Brian first got up there, and he was kind of talking about like, being at the church, and he was like, oh yeah, like I'm really glad to be here. Thanks so much, Scotty, for bringing me up, and he was like, funny enough, he's like, Scotty's my agent. He's like, he's my speaking agent. And so, he just said, hey, you want to come to my congregation one day? And he was like, hell yeah. And like everyone kind of laughed when he's like, yeah, Scotty's my agent. And everyone was like, oh, okay. But then I quickly like Googled that. I just Googled Scott's name, and dead ass, like he's like a Christian agent in Nashville.
Shut the fuck up. What's his name?
Here, where is it? Yeah, Reverend Scott Huey, which I'll spell Huey for you. You ready?
Uh-huh.
Huie.
Oh. Scott Huey, Nashville.
Yeah.
All right. We need to get this guy on the pod.
Let's get Scott on the pod next.
Kramer, from Guns N' Roses to Amy Grant. You know, my dad was friends with Amy Grant.
Oh, really?
Email Scott. Oh, let's view his artists. Who does Scott represent? Brian Welch and Brian Reyes. The band Petra, my man.
Yeah.
I don't know any of these people. Seventh Day Slumber is a very good name. Very Christian name. Jazz.
But yeah.
He represents Slim Gambill. Slim Gambill, the Christian jazz man. Listen, I'm a Christian jazz man. My name's Jason Slim Gambill. Oh, hang on. 13,000 followers on Instagram. I'll fall back. And he plays with Lady A, which is the, I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's like I would say like pop country trio.
No, it is the black R&B singer from the Pacific Northwest.
Oh.
I'm kidding. They stole that name from her, though. Nothing's funnier than them changing their name because they're like, yeah, Lady Antebellum's racist. We're going to go by Lady A. And this like black woman that's been in the industry like 30 years, it's like mid-level market, is like, actually, that's what I go by. And they were like, well, let's have a Zoom meeting to talk about it. And she was like, I really don't want you guys to use my name. And then Lady A posts on their Instagram, like, we talked to Lady A. She's chill with it. She's like, no, I'm not. But you guys are like very rich.
She's like, we never even talked about it.
Hilarious.
And then the girl from the band Lady A was like, sorry, bitch, that's showbiz.
Yeah, that's showbiz. This is what
fucking big league her.
That's how it works in the music industry, in case you're new to this. I'm trying to check out Ryan Reyes. I'm a little drunk, to be honest. Co-founder of the Whosoever movement, Ryan Reyes with lead singer Sonny Salvador, POD, and guitarist. Wait, recognizes students today. Oh, okay, hang on. So I actually waited in line to meet POD at a Guitar Center when I was a little boy.
Really?
I swear to fucking God. Ryan Reyes is co-founder. Okay, so it doesn't really say what this fool does or knows shit about, but he don't really seem like a dude that did shit before he was a Christian.
Yeah.
Seems like his identity is being like a cool-ass Christian.
So yeah,
Lead me to the cross.
But yeah, I met Brian Welch, and then I met his Christian speaking agent.
You met him?
Well, yeah, I mean, he like, like most pastors do, they sorry, I just got a text. Like most pastors out at the end of the service, they stand by the front door and shake everyone's hands and, continue the COVID strand.
I finally found out Ryan's story. Growing up in Los Angeles as the son of a megachurch pastor, he says, I want to get rich just like Daddy.
But I want it taxed. Do you think Christian bands can like be tax exempt because it's like, oh no, this is all for the Lord? Like we're technically
there's got to be a way to do that, right? Because like I remember so many people like that were in hardcore bands that rebranded as Christian hardcore bands at a time where they could literally just make more money.
Yeah. I mean, it's really just like you're tapping into a built-in market.
I know.
Whether that's forced by the parents or there's just people, it's like, no, like, if you're going to talk about mythical shit, let's talk about Jesus and the apostles. Let's not talk about Mordor.
Let's not talk. We don't talk about Mordor in this household.
Swerve, the rims is glistening. They got see the wood cause the top is missing. I sleep on dreams cause it's paper I'm chasing. My roots come from Texas, this inflation. On the side, on the side, on the side, on the side. run aside, run aside, run aside, run aside.